So welcome back to Boring Build Friday. Today we have something really boring. Maybe to some people, but to me, it's my favorite car to work on. And with all the Fords we've had on this channel, I had to buy something that would ensure my viewers that this is the right channel. And nothing could be more perfect than a Grand Am. Now you're probably wondering, why bother with this thing? They're only worth like $2,000. Well, that's unless they have low miles and no rust. Up here, those cars are bringing twice that. And this one has both. But when you buy a car for scrap price, you can't go wrong no matter what it is. And that's exactly what I bought this one for. My only competition was a guy that literally loads the cars into the dump truck and takes them to the scrapyard. So, I actually saved this car. It wasn't going to be fixed unless I bought it. So I bought this car in St. Louis. It's a Missouri car, and as far as rust goes, compared to the cars up here in Chicago, it's perfect. It's no Texas car, but it's in really nice shape underneath. And the best part, it only has 66,000 miles. Which on an 03 is very low. Most of these 03s have 200, 300,000 miles on them. So to find one with low miles like this, pretty difficult. It needs a little work, but I have a lot of the parts, so it should be a cheap build. And they're a lot of fun to work on. Now, I'm actually not planning on selling this car. I need to replace mine that got totaled over the summer in a hailstorm. I bought it back and then sold it again, but that's a story for another video. So as usual, it was dead at the auction, but it was charging our whole way home. Let's see if it starts. We have some deployed airbags. The cruise control buttons always break when the airbags go up. It also blows the sunroof off. Sometimes you can snap them back into place if the plastic didn't crack. Other times you gotta replace the sunroof assembly. Either way, I have the parts, so it doesn't matter. 66,261 miles. Got the standard Grand Am curling dash. Southern cars, you get foggy headlights and curling dash, but no rust. Up here in Illinois, you get nice dashboards, but rusty cars. I'll take the curling dash. So it looks like it whacked the center divider. A little concrete rash on it. Got a broken tie rod end up in front. Possibly a bent subframe, but I won't know until I get it up on the lift and take some measurements. I don't even know if I'm going to fix any of this stuff. Might just pull the quarter out and leave it. It is going to be my winter car, so I don't care. So the first thing we need to do is get the car off the trailer. I'm going to take the strap off the front so we can jack it up. Pull the tire off. Now we'll put the tie rod and repair sleeve on there. These are available in the Amazon store. Links in the description. I took the eyelets off and replaced them with bolts, make them a little easier to tighten down. Good as new. Put a layer in the tire. The rim is no good, but at least this will help get it off the trailer. We'll change it later. I can pull off our wiring harness that we were using to charge the battery when we came back. You know this car has very little rust when I was actually able to remove that ground wire on the apron without breaking it. Those bolts tended to break off when these cars were 6 months old. And we'll finish unstrapping it. Put the stabilizers down. Pull the ramps out. We all know how this is going to go. It appears I might have lucked out on the front end. There's definitely something going on back here. We're gonna have to head over to Scott's Grand Am Emporium and pick up some parts.
So now we can pull the rear tire off. You can take those caps off with the impact, but don't put them on with it. Caps are just plastic. They melt. There's your problem. Usually the knuckles break because they're aluminum. Wasn't the case here.
So we're going to have to replace these control arms, or lateral arms, whatever you want to call them.
Pull the bolts out.
We'll unclip the ABS wire that runs along the control arm.
I think we need a new one. So here's our new one. Pull the bolt out of the rear one. And put our new one in. And put our bolt in the outside. We'll use some of our old parts as a hammer. Everything's a hammer if you're brave enough. Run the bolt in. Tighten it down.
Click.
I'll tighten up the inside bolts. The rear one is used for the toe alignment, so we'll just get it close. I'll put the wiring harness clip on. I'm supposed to have two. I only have one right now. It'll be good enough until I can go home and get the other one. They don't save very well, so when I tried to take them out, they broke. So I'll put the tire back on. And we'll screw the cap in by hand. And we go up to the front, change our tie rod end. Get our temporary tie rod end out of here. Unbolt it, slide it off. I'll take the rest of the old inner tie rod end out, break the jam nut loose. Since we have no tie rod end, an impact's the fastest way to do it. So now we'll take the clamp off the outside of the boot, and take the clamp off the inside of the boot. Stick a screwdriver in there and twist it, pry it open. Then we can push the boot off. Pull the end of it out. Push back the collar that covers up the inner tie rod end. Now we can put our inner tie rod end tool on there. These are also available in my Amazon store if you want to check them out. Links in the description. Break it loose.
Resist the urge to use an impact on this inner tie rod end tool. It doesn't speed up the process. And I'm speaking from experience.
In the pile.
So now we got our new one. Get it started. And put our tie rod end tool on there. Tighten it down. Now you have to hammer over the end of it. It's kind of like a locking tab. So any way you can flatten it out, that's what you do. Now we put our boot back on. And squeeze the clamp together once it's all the way seated. And put the clamp on the outside. Thread the jam nut on there. Some never sees on there. Be nice to the next guy, which will undoubtedly be me. And we'll thread it into the outer tie rod end. These outer tie rod ends don't come off very easy. The threads rust up, and the bolt on the end is nylon. So I just left it in there. It's a little bit of a struggle to get it threaded in here, but once it gets started, it's easy. It would be nice if the end of the tie rod end came out, I could just screw it on. After these things are about 3 minutes old, that doesn't happen anymore. So now we're going to swap over our rim. We're just going to get everything done on this so we can take it for the safety test. We'll worry about fixing everything later if we decide to. So we'll break the beads loose. Pull the outside of the tire off. Pull the inside of the tire off. Throw a new valve stem in there. Put the new tire on, fill it up, balance it, ready to go back on the car. So here's our trunk gap. Left side's the left side, right side's the right side. When it hit the wall, it shifted it over. So we need to line it back up. Just gonna stick a pry bar in there and bend the striker over. And use our striker adjustment tool for a little fine tuning. Perfect. Now we can take the plastic off. The auction puts the plastic on when stuff is open, and because the sunroof is stuck, they covered it up. Top of the door is also out a little bit, so we're going to bend it into place just so it doesn't leak. It will be sitting outside for a little while. Got our door adjustment tool there. It's good. We'll have to keep it dry. So now we got to fix our sunroof. So we'll get it open as much as possible. You just stick a screwdriver in there and twist it. The plastic didn't break. It was enough to get the clip back in there. I'll check and make sure it works. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes that plastic breaks. All good. So now we're going to put a rear view mirror on, or it won't pass the safety test. and I'm lazy, so we're not going to pull the door panel off. It's only 3 bolts and 1 plug. 3 nuts and 1 plug, rather. So we'll plug it back in. That's the only hard part. That's the only reason you really need to take the door panel off. Have a little patience. You can get it plugged in without taking the door panel off. Put our foam back in there. Put the cap back on. Now we're onto the airbags. So we'll pull the glove box out. Disconnect the light. There's 2 bolts on the bottom of the airbag. Pull the side cover off. Plug is in there. And you can pop the airbag out. Fish the wire out of there.
In the pile.
And put our new airbag in. Fish the wire in there. Snap it into place and bolt it in. Put our glove box back in. Plug the light in. Snap it into place. Put the screws in. Put the side cover back on. That side's done. So now I got to pull the passenger seat out because the airbag module is underneath it. So we'll pull the headrest out. Unbolt the seat. There's just 2 bolts in the back.
So you just lift up on the seat and push back, not to be confused with lifting down. Still not sure how that works.
That's why we take the headrest out. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of room up above. Pull the sill plate off. Now we can lift up the carpet so we can get to that module. Kind of doing this one blind. Can't really see what you're doing in there. There's only 3 bolts that hold it down and 1 plug. So we got our new module. These things are so cheap, it's not even worth sending them out to be reprogrammed. And you can't clear the codes out of these with a normal scanner. Put our sill plate back on.
Not really going to upset the clean freaks. We're going to put the seat back in without vacuuming it out first. Sorry, guys.
Bolt the seat back down. Slide it back, tilt it back. Makes it easier to get the headrest in. So in the process of changing all the airbag components, I got distracted. We need to get rid of the dealer name and the bumper sticker off the back. So one of these pinstripe erasers is available in my Amazon store if you also get distracted by these.
They were hiding something.
Okay, back to useful things. I'm going to change the driver airbag. So pull the top piece of the steering column off. Turn the steering wheel 90 degrees so we can get to the bolts for the airbag. It's our T30 Torx. Putting them in is much easier than taking them out. Now we can pull the airbag out. Disconnect the horn wire, give us a little more room. Now these plugs melt into the airbag when the airbag goes off. So we got to take it apart. We have to destroy it, but carefully, if that's possible. I'm interested in the wires that are inside. We can change the plug. The alternative is to change the entire clock spring, which requires removing the steering wheel, instrument cluster, and then fishing off the wire that runs inside the dash. It's really not fun. We'll take our time, pull these pins out, and then just replace the plug at the end. Save us a lot of time.
In the pile.
Now yeah, change the cruise switches. There's just 2 screws in the back and 1 plug. It also holds the back shroud on the steering wheel. So we'll hold the back of the steering wheel in place. We'll slide the new one in and bolt it down. Now we can change over our plug. Since we managed not to break our pins, just slide them in there. Push them into place. Put our cover back on. Goes the other way, buddy. Snap it in. Now we'll get our airbag ready to go in. These are the bolts we took out. They have those little collars on there. They snap into place. Just tighten them down in there. So now we'll plug in our airbag, put the safety down, plug in our ground for our horn wire, and plug in our horn contact. It pushes in and turns, has a locking pin on it. Set it into place. Snap it in. Of course you should disconnect the battery before doing all this. Sorry safety experts, you guys just took a loss. I like to live dangerously. So now we'll check and make sure that everything we did worked. So the bottom left corner, we'll check the airbag light out. Should flash 7 to 9 times and then go out. And it did. We're all good. So now we're going to change our right rear door. This is why we needed that parts car that we went to pick up in one of our previous videos. Link's up above if you want to check it out. Still haven't decided what I'm doing with it yet. So we'll pull the rubber boot off the plug for the door so that we can get to the pins that hold the plug in. Disconnect them, pull it out. I'll take the 3 bolts out for the door check and 2 hinges. And lift the door off. Now we got our new door in the correct color. Set it down into place. Bolt in our door check and hinges. And our gap's a little off. We're going to have to fix that. So, here's how we do it. First we take the door back off. And this is why I got good at taking these doors off. We didn't do this one blindfolded like the last time though. Got our hinge alignment tool in there. Give it a little adjustment. Set the door back down. Bolt it in. Now our gap's all good. That's all it takes.
So like every one of these 2-directional seats, they don't work. The gears strip out in the motor. And it's got a little bit of a tear there and a hole up there. We're gonna just change the seat with a 6-way power and fix all of our problems.
So, like the passenger side, first thing we do is pull the headrest out, just push in the retainer tabs and lift it out. Unbolt it. Pull the covers off. These won't fit our new one. Then we can unplug it. Lift it forward and pull it back. And take it out of there. See what treasures await us under the seats.
36 cents. And some crackers.
Look at that. We'll give the clean freaks a win. I can put our new seat in. Set the front end in place, lift it up and slide it in. Plug it in and bolt it down. And slide the headrest in. Check and make sure everything works.
So I wasn't going to originally fix the dog leg because it really doesn't bother me. But after I put our door on, it doesn't really close all that well. And what's the point of having a 4-door if you can only use 3? So now we're going to have to fix this quarter. I guess if nothing else, it gave me a reason to have to fix it. So let's get it fixed. So that's it for this video. Next time we come back, we'll get this thing up on the frame rack and start pulling on that quarter. See if we can repair it or if we're going to have to replace it. While we're working on it, we're going to make some modifications and do some upgrades to this car that aren't part of the accident. I don't know if we'll get to this next week or if we'll get to the Mustang. Or maybe we'll find something else completely different to work on. So subscribe and find out. Don't forget to drop a like, and as always, thanks for watching. You guys always want to know what I pay for these cars, and I did say it was scrap value. Well, scrap value right now is $175. I actually didn't even pay that much. Paid $150 for this car. Some of you will say I overpaid. I don't think so.